All right. Welcome back to the Real Estate Locker Room Show, folks. I'm your host, John Carney, and thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to tune in. I'm truly grateful for all of you return listeners out there. Your support is what makes this podcast successful. I know your time is valuable, and I appreciate you spending some of it with us today in the locker room. If this is your first time listening to the show, welcome. The goal here is to deliver you actionable advice on how to elevate your real estate game today and to continue to raise the bar in your specific area of expertise in the real estate industry. You know, whether you're an investor or an industry pro, like our guest today, Andrew Keel, we want to give you some actionable advice and the show that believes that real estate is a team sport. Today is episode number 80 with my guest, Andrew Keel. And it's time to kick off in charge into, the wonderful world of investing in manufactured home communities. Welcome to the show, Andrew.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. So Andrew, he owns multiple mobile home, manufactured home communities across multiple states. And, he started out investing in the one-off deal and was able to scale that business into 8 parks.
We actually are up to 16 now.
Okay. Sorry. I was looking at 14 in 8 states. So now we're up to 16, right? And that's awesome. And we can't wait to hear your success story. And because I'm sure what you're doing applies across multiple, at least 80% of it might apply to multiple sectors of the real estate business. But before we dive into that, the premise of the show is to educate the audience and give them some, something to think about here, right? So let's look at that intersection between competitive real estate in your specific area of expertise and, competitive sports. And we'll stretch out with a few questions along those lines. Sound good?
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Well, do you have a favorite athlete that inspires you? Whether it's a childhood star.
Yeah, I was a huge fan of Brian Dawkins, safety when he was at the Eagles. I played football growing up and in college, and Brian Dawkins was he's the X factor.
Nice. Were you on the defense?
I was an outside linebacker.
Fun position. So you grew up, so college athletic programs, raising the bar or next level from high school. I didn't play collegiate sports, but talk about what'd you learn by playing on a team sport like collegiate football, that helped you when you graduated and went into business for yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the biggest thing is just being able to manage your time, during college. There's your studies and there's your classes that you have to go to. And then there's also, early morning workouts to get your lift in and afternoon practice and then film after that. So it's just every hour of your day is planned out, and being able to stick to that plan was very important. And, after college, to carry that over into my professional life, being diligent, being on time, and being able to manage a schedule was really big for us.
Excellent. And then other than football, is there any sports you play today that keep to stay active, team sports or individual sports?
Yeah, right now I'm into triathlons. So I'm actually training for an Ironman that'll be in Tulsa in May of 2020. So I'm in the routine, swimming, biking, and running, and it just helps me work towards a goal, which is, important, and stay in shape and keep my diet on track. So definitely a big fan of triathlons.
So will this be your first endurance event on this scale or distance?
Yeah, this will be my first Ironman. I've done some sprint triathlons, in the past couple of years, but nothing like an Ironman. Ironman is just kind of like the bucket list thing. Like, it's just, I feel like once I complete an Ironman, I could really prove to myself that anything's possible, because it's such a feat. It's such a, such a long, kind of treacherous event that, I don't know, it takes a lot of, mental strength to get through something like that. And I think that's important, not only in endurance sports, but also in business and in life.
I agree. And I mean, I don't want to go on and on about Ironman, but I mean, so with the I'm endurance events, don't have an Ironman on the calendar, but have done some ultra marathons and obstacle courses. And so like, yeah,
Awesome.
you have that discipline, right? I mean, it's not just about lifting weights or going for runs. It's about, almost 2-a-days and then a focus on your sleep and your nutrition, right?
Yeah.
I feel that if I have something on the calendar, it goes across all areas of my life and my business. I think it just zones you into being laser focused. So as you kind of decided to take the step up from the sprint triathlon to the real deal Ironman and make that commitment, is that just something you've seen parallel your real estate investing career?
Yeah, I would say I'm always looking to, go up the ladder and look at the next step. And I think that's what I did within the manufactured housing space. I started out wholesaling and flipping houses around Central Florida. Had some pretty good success early on. During my marketing efforts, I sent a yellow letter out and had someone reach out trying to sell 2 individual mobile homes. And I knew it was a great deal because I could buy both of them for $2,200. But what I didn't know is how I was going to make money off of it. So I got on Google, I got into YouTube and found a guy named Lonnie Scruggs who wrote this book called Deals on Wheels. And he was giving a presentation on how to create mailbox money through buying and selling on contract individual mobile homes that are in other people's mobile home parks. So long story short, I bought those 2 homes, made a good chunk of money off of them, eventually went and bought more mobile homes, had 19 at one point, and then eventually met a park owner. He introduced me to the whole model of, mobile home park investing and the benefits of owning the real estate versus just the personal property that is the mobile homes. So I was hooked at that point, went to the MHU boot camp with Frank and Dave, went to a couple other mobile home park investing, classes, and I started cold calling mobile home park owners to see if they would sell me their properties. And sure enough, I was lucky enough to come across a few, and some people that I met along the way in one of the MHU boot camps invested into my deals. And at this point, we've scaled it. We do full on syndications where we aggregate a large group of investors into buying properties and even portfolios of mobile home park properties. And now we have just over 1,000 lots across 7 states. So we're really excited about it.
That is pretty cool. Can we go back into the basics, right? There's been a few mobile home park investors between episode 1 and episode 80 where we are right now, Andrew. But for someone who is either already new to the space or is thinking about this as an asset class that they want to be involved in, what are some of the entry? What's some of the beginner advice to get off the sideline and get into the manufactured home space?
Yeah, I would tell them, hey, go out and do a Lonnie Deal. You just Google Lonnie Deal and you'll see the videos and you'll see the book Deals on Wheels. And if you're not familiar with what a Lonnie Deal is, you go and you can buy a mobile home in a park, near where you live. And then you can get some pretty good deals on these things because when people want to sell in a mobile home park, it's like a gun went off and it's a race, and they want to sell as quickly as possible because these are low income families that don't want to pay lot rent when they're not living in a said home. And that $300 to $500 a month lot rent, is a lot of money for a low income family. So when they want to sell, they want to move it very quickly. So you can go out, and I've bought mobile homes for, as little as $500, and it goes up from there. But you can buy homes for, say, $1,500, $2,000, maybe $3,000. Put a little bit of work into it, and then sell it for a down payment of, say, $2,000, and then get $250 a month for, say, 40 months out of that single deal that you've done. And the tenant would pay lot rent, and then the rest of the money would come to you. So you're helping them and giving them a path to home ownership. And at the same time, if you're interested in manufactured housing at all, this is has a very low barrier to entry. You don't need a ton of money. You need a little bit to make your acquisition and to do some repairs if necessary. But there's a very low barrier to entry, and you can see if you like the business from there. And when I got started, I was very surprised by the demand that we had coming in for our mobile homes that were available. I mean, it was off the charts. We had like 20 people reach out every day, for the one mobile home that we had available that we were selling on contract. So it's a very unique business, it can be very profitable if you do it the right way. And yeah, it's been good and helped create financial freedom for myself and my family.
Is there, well, I'm hooked because, I'm hooked because it just, you're talking about, so you went from wholesaling, right? Single family homes. I'm hooked into the conversation, and I love when you get into the nuts and bolts of something new that's not my day to day. And you're talking about getting some success and seeing immediate success in just the value of the home, and how you've basically become the bank and finance a home to a homeowner in a deals on wheels. And so then you said, hey, maybe there's something to owning the real estate. So how is that then? I guess it depends on the number of spaces, right, in a certain lot. But I mean, how does that amplify the opportunity for someone who does have the resources, meaning time, money, or access to capital? How does that really amplify?
No, definitely, and that's a good question. So, owning the real estate, when that first park owner that I met, he said, hey, there's tax benefits to owning the real estate, depreciation schedules, better debt available, and ultimately wealth creation. So once I learned all those factors, I was sold. And, just like you can depreciate, single family homes, apartment buildings, mobile home parks are depreciated on average, over about 17 and a half years. So it's a little more accelerated compared to other asset classes. Another benefit to mobile home parks is because I did have other rentals, single family, and I also had a 9-unit apartment complex before I bought my first park, is that we don't own the homes in the mobile home communities. We just own the dirt underneath of it. So it's technically like a big parking lot, and people are paying us just for their lot that their home is sitting on. So if there's a leaky faucet or a running toilet or an AC unit that's not working, we don't have those maintenance expenses coming out of our pocket. That would be the tenant that owns the home that would be taking care of those expenses. So that's a huge factor that helps you make this business a little bit more scalable. Another thing is the turnover rate in a mobile home community is a lot lower compared to single family or multifamily. The turnover rate in an apartment complex is depending around 30-40% annually. Well, in a mobile home community where the tenants own their homes, the annual turnover rate is only around 5 or 6%. So it's just been really good, and I mean the demand for affordable housing is off the charts, and I'm a very big advocate for manufactured housing.
Yeah, I want to just go back. It sounds like it. I mean, because you're growing, and there's probably no end in sight, judging by what you've been able to accomplish. What's the time frame from the first Lonnie deal, right, or the 2-pack Lonnie deal, where you figured this all out rather quickly, to going from just the manufactured home to the park to 16 parks? How long?
Yeah, so the Lonnie deals from my first Lonnie deal to my first park was about 2 years, and then from my first park until now is about 2.5 years. So it's been about a 4.5-year stint in manufactured housing, and which really isn't that long if you look at it from the grand scheme of things. And it's not rocket science, but it definitely has a lot of action.
Yeah. So, I mean, you put your foot on the accelerator or not?
Yeah.
Or did the opportunities just coming because you're so enthusiastic? Like I can just tell by listening to you and looking at you, like this is something that got your wheels spinning, right?
It did, and right from the beginning, and it was just it's like one of those feelings, as an entrepreneur, when something goes right and all the stars align and you just feel and you buy into something. I'm a huge fan of just going all in with all your might, all your passion, learn as much about it as you can. Some people listen maybe to a podcast a couple times a week. I listened to every podcast that I could find on manufactured housing. I was listening to like hours a day, like nonstop. Every bit of content I could get my hands on, I was stuffing in to my work weeks. On top of, when I was flipping and still doing the Lonnie deals, I was learning about manufactured housing communities and trying to, shorten the learning curve to just take in as much content as I could. And I become obsessed. And once you become obsessed with something, you're all in.
Absolutely. That is, be obsessed and you'll be successful. So let's talk about team, right? Like the name of your business is the Keel Team. Talk about the team of people that you surrounded yourself with to ensure that you would be successful, right? It takes a team in any business, right?
Definitely does. And I'm a big sports fan. So the Keel Team, kind of building off of that model is really what our whole business is about. I couldn't do this myself. I couldn't have 16 communities myself. I would have maxed out back at around 2 or 3 if it was just me. So I've been able to bring on some awesome team members. We have across all of our parks, we have about 23 employees, and there's on-site managers at every property that's more or less there are eyes and ears, let us know what's going on in the communities. They help with rent collection and, reading water meters and things like that. And then in our corporate offices here, we have 5 employees, and then we have a couple remote regional managers. So the team that we've built, is really why we've been able to grow to this level. It's really very important. So our vice president of operations, John Scortino, has really, really helped us expand the business and build out management structures and so forth to get to where we are.
But this is always in business, the entrepreneurial journey, right, is something that I'm just fascinated learning about. Everyone's got a slightly different point where, you kind of get to that uh-oh moment and things start to shift. When did systemization, when did that component really enter in? I may have heard around 2 or 3 communities, but when did that kick in, and how long did that take you to get right? Or do you have a mentor that helped kind of say, look, Andrew, this is A, B, C, and D, and you might want to think of hiring someone to fill this role. And you might not be able to afford him now, but he will help you get there. Did those conversations exist, or am I?
Yeah, no, those definitely existed. Went to the MHU boot camp with Frank Rolfe, and he's been a big inspiration. They have a whole handbook on managing these communities and due diligence and kind of walking you through how to own and operate and find mobile home park deals. So that was a huge help for me as well. Also, another mentor of mine was Ryan Smith with Elevation Capital. He helped me quite a bit as well. So definitely mentors. I'm a big fan of mentorship, and that kind of helped get us to where we are, today.
Yeah, the only reason I'm asking too is like you obviously come from a team athletic background, team business background, but conversations that we have around our business, which is multifamily. It's always about the team alignment, rowing in the right direction, right? And it always sounds easy when you're chatting about it or reading about it. Implementing it comes with its own challenges. But the message I like to put out there through the podcast, one of the reasons you're doing this and I'm doing this is to help people be successful, right? And kind of get into the game, whether we're attracting investors or today just having a conversation about our audience learning more about what you're good at and what you excel at in the real estate niche. But it always boils down to finding the people that'll help you, that will lead
take it to the
you
next
right
level.
Yeah,
exactly.
And you've obviously were due diligent in finding those resources. So like as far as the mobile home park game, like, someone's tuning in, we get people around the world that listen and occasionally reach out. What would your U.S. manufactured homes, like, what would your number one tip be for someone who's saying this makes sense to me?
Yeah, my number one tip would be to find an experienced operator like myself and invest passively with them in your first deal, and just learn from them, learn from the operations, learn how things kind of progress and what the returns are, and take a visit to the property, and be involved in a deal on the limited partner side, and just experience that. And if you like that, I would recommend, if you want to get into the the general partner side, you want to be an active investor in the manufactured housing space, I definitely recommend you go to the MHU boot camp by Frank and Dave, Mobile Home University. That you're gonna learn so much in those 3 days that you'll be ready to buy your first park when you leave.
It's amazing. It's amazing that I shouldn't be amazed, right? But I mean, wherever you are, wherever you want to be in real estate is a wealth creation vehicle, right? So that you can have more time with your family and structure, your business around what you want to do. It's just all the information's out there. Podcasts, YouTube, boot camps, right? So I mean, that's pretty cool. So all right, we're going to just kind of shift gears a little bit here into some of the ongoing things that you focus on so that you can grow this from currently we're at 16. I would imagine, do you have a target? I would imagine you'd want to double that.
We want to keep going. Definitely. Our target is 100 million in asset value.
Okay. So you have a number and you've created, I'm certain by talking to you, some sort of a track, right? A trajectory to get there. So is there any sort of daily habits or practices that you implement, that help keep you on track?
Yeah. I mean, number one, something I strongly believe in is reviewing your goals daily. If you ever go into my house, you'll see I have a big stainless steel refrigerator, and I have a dry erase marker right next to it. And I wrote down a long time ago that I wanted to buy 10 mobile home parks in the next 3 years. And I wrote that down. But even before I wrote that goal down, I wrote that I wanted to buy a mobile home park before 2016. And I write things down and I look at them every day. And how many times do you go to your refrigerator in a day? I love to eat, so I'm there multiple times, more than 3 for sure. So the more and more that I looked at that, the more that I thought about and trained my mind to think of solutions or possible solutions of how I could, acquire more properties and to grow and expand the business. So once you start thinking that way, your mind starts to create more options that you never could have. You never can fathom what your mind's capable of until you position it to look at that solution and look at that problem.
I like it. Keep your eye on the prize.
Exactly.
Sight of it multiple times a day.
Yeah.
Is there a book, an entrepreneur book, business book, motivation book, something you've read recently that you keep on the shelf in your office as a reference that the audience should look into?
I'm a big fan of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I mean, that was like one of the first books that I read that, Robert Kiyosaki, that really, was a shift in my whole thinking about assets and liabilities and the benefits of real estate. And I highly recommend it. If you haven't read it all the way through, I highly recommend getting plugged into Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
And read it again if you've already read it.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. What about just for the struggles that you encounter on day-to-day running any business? Is there one pro tip that you can leave with us to just stay focused and keep moving forward?
Yeah, I would say keeping a healthy lifestyle, not only working out every day but also eating healthy, helps give you that energy to stay focused. Especially around that 3:00 hour in the afternoon, where people turn to caffeine, whether it's sodas or coffee. I think that if you have that energy and you're eating healthy and you work out in the mornings, it just gives you that energy throughout the rest of the day. At least it works for me. So that's what I recommend.
Right. Healthy lifestyle. Love it. All right. Well, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy day, growing your portfolio to share all these awesome tips and insights in the manufactured home business. Would you be able to share where the audience can find you if they want to reach out direct or follow you on social media?
Yeah, definitely. If you're interested in, chatting with me because you're interested in getting into the mobile home park business and would possibly be interested in, helping be like a JV partner, feel free to reach out. Or if you're interested in investing passively, you can check out my website. It's keelteam.com. That's KEELTEAM.com.
Perfect. Well, there you have it, folks. I truly hope that you picked up some actionable advice today from our guest, Andrew Keel and the Keel team. Make sure to check out the Real Estate Locker Room Show on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. We're now on iHeartRadio and Spotify. And hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any pro tips or great insight from our expert guests like Andrew. The mission here is to help you elevate your real estate game. And if you like what this show is all about, I would be truly grateful if you would leave us a review, and that helps other like-minded real estate investors just like you tap into our content. The post-game show notes, links, and additional content related to this show, episode number 80 with Andrew Keel, will be on my website at johncarneyonline.com/podcast episode 80. And we will make sure that all the links you've provided us are out there for our audience to check out. Andrew, remember to stay focused on your goals, have fun, and stay in the game. I'm your host, John Carney. And until next time, work hard, play hard, and raise the bar. And Andrew, sounds like you got a great thing building down there in Orlando, Florida. And we wish you nothing but success as you continue to build upon what you have.
Thank you so much, John. Thanks again for having me.
Yeah, have a great day. Thank you.